Hello and welcome. This is Ayana Lahi, and I am so very happy that you're here with me today in this week's episode of Be One, Be You. We are diving into the theme, Finding Your Fearless Heart. We learn so much on a subconscious level of what to fear. And also we learn through being in nature what fearless means. For a young sprout to bust through a crevice between a rock and face the snow upon the earth around it. We learn so much about the ferocity of courage and strength, which go together from an ocean wave that can pound the shore. We learn so much watching a little puppy being born and watching it jump around, fall over the other puppies, and find its legs. Have you ever seen a horse, a little baby horse, just being born and finding its legs? That courage, that strength, that fearlessness to get up on its own legs is built in. It's part of the built-in source strength that is within all of us. And we all have had the moments of wanting to just give up, not try anymore. Maybe we just couldn't meet the task at hand. Maybe we couldn't match those around us as we were growing up. Maybe we fell into judging ourselves at a very young age and looking at ourselves from the outside in, based upon the clothes we had, the money we had to have those clothes, and then later on what kind of car we drove, and the list goes on. We learn about courage through watching our parents face life challenges. Did they cave in? Did they hide? Did they pull the covers over their heads? My mother used to go to bed in the middle of the day and pull the cover over her head, and I'd come home from school and there she was in the bedroom with the door closed. Well, you can imagine the effect that would have, because I had to make a decision on a very deep level of how I wanted to face things. So it's one of the hundreds of my own childhood stories that pushed me and motivated me to face my own fears. Fears come from believing that we can't do it, we can't succeed, that we're not enough, that we don't matter, that we just can't measure up. There's a fear that happens. Remember the first time, if you've had the opportunity to see an animal, such as a tiger or a lion, stand in its fearlessness. It's like raw, it's uncovered, it's potent. Have you ever seen an elephant, maybe in a film, stand up for a member of its tribe? It will fight to protect. Did you know that a wolf will not leave its pack? If a wolf has been hurt, they all gather around. They're fearless. They know that their role is to protect. So with the inside of you is a fearless heart, one who knows that it can survive anything. You know, there's so many powerful and beautiful moments and lessons learned through being in this galaxy, this galactic reincarnational cycle, because we can learn about fearless courage. We can also learn about giving up and being hopeless and being in despair. And they're all part of being human. When you or someone else that you know and love goes into despair, hold that space for them, because it takes the space, not the cramping around and constricting someone to feel like they shouldn't feel what they're feeling, but to always give that message, you can do it. Think back for a moment in your life if someone ever said to you, you can do it, when you felt you couldn't because you didn't have it. You didn't know where to go in yourself to find it. We've all had those moments. And to cherish that moment where you say, I'm going to do it, no matter what. And to get through those fears of being laughed at, ridiculed. You have to want something. You have to really want to succeed. You have to want to come out of the cycles of feeling sorry for yourself. So that's one of the things that I learned as a really young child, was to do the opposite of what I saw happen around me when there was so much fear that it was paralyzing to an adult around me. And then I had the contrast of a father who persevered through his fear to experience life at its core. So one of the decisions one makes to find their fearless heart is what you want to experience in life. Do you want to get down to the core roots of it and really find out how life ticks and what is ticking inside of you? Or do you want to just cover it up and go from one superficial moment to another, imitating and pretending, and just taking on a persona and basing your life upon the externals, from the food that you eat, what you drink, or your latest entertainment? Or are you going to choose that fearless moment of diving deeper? And as you dive deeper, there can be a hollow space, there can be a void, there can be a lushness, a richness, a fountainhead inside of creativity that is so huge that when you turn away from the externals to fill that space, you can begin to open to an abundant state that takes you into a level of natural power, not put on power, not power over another, not power gained through what you have. Usually true power comes from realizing what you don't have. And that is one of the great gifts of living simply and in tune with the rhythms of your own self. You find that there's a stillness inside of the trunk of the tree that you're looking at as you look out a window. It's the strength that you feel when you place one foot in front of the next and you're feeling the earth underneath you, and you slow down your pace so that you can feel. We all have our own journey into finding the fearless heart. It ranges from self-indulgence and narcissism and grandiosity to selfless service and going beyond the fears that you may not have the money that you really want, but you're going to find what's really most important to you. And then comes the cycle of bringing together the material and your spiritual self that you have worked hard to find. It takes fearless courage that comes from the wanting. The wanting. We're taught not to want, and then we're also trained to want so much that we become the victim of the wanting. We base our life upon what we have and having more, and nothing can fill the hole inside of ourselves. Nothing. No amount of money, no possessions, no relationship can fill that space inside that we all have, because on some level, in some arena of our life, we are taught to leave ourself. So for a moment, imagine yourself in fearless courage, and what are you doing? See yourself active. What is it that you're doing? And imprint that image inside of yourself. Imprint that image in your mind heart, which means your mind is coming down into your heart. Your mind is remembering the image because it holds strength for you. And the beauty of living in a dual world, dualism, polarity, meaning there's an opposite. There's strength and weakness, love and hatred, sweetness and sour, etc. You get to choose how to interpret both of those experiences and realize that when you travel deep into your heart center, you close your eyes and you just let your mind move in towards your spine, in your heart, and you look for pure white light. You go in there. You realize that there's a central point. It's a still point. It is vast. It is infinite. And it has greater durability, stability, and longevity because it doesn't swing from one pole to the other, from the sweet to the sour, the love to the hatred. You're staying steady, and that's how you build fearless courage, because you stay with that middle place, that point, that space, that vastness. You choose to move through the darkness. The dark has become so dark on this planet that it's used by certain individuals and collective mindsets to control people from being really courageous and stepping through their own fears. Fear is used on this planet to subjugate and repress and control others. The warrior, warrioress inside of yourself is the natural state deep in your heart of being connected to Source. It is the Source through the way the trunk of that tree moves energy. It's the strength of that sprout coming up through the ground. It's the strength of the newborn horse getting onto its legs. It's the courage of the mother giving birth to her child. The fearlessness to be true to what you really believe in your heart, what you need to do for you. You find that courage to speak your truth because at some point in your childhood, you were given the message not to speak your truth, and if you did, there were consequences. If you were sexually abused and told not to tell anybody or else, it takes courage to come forth. If you had a disability where other children or teenagers laughed at you, it takes courage to come through, owning and accepting your disability and working to get through it. It takes courage to awaken and realize that you've been a tyrannical thinker, thinking that your way is best. But truly, it's kept you separate from your own heart and soul, while you might claim that you are connected. We can use the illusion of fear to control our own self. We are so terrified of our own fear that we create a story about what we are actually fearless about, when really, truly, we have to go through at some point a devastating experience in our life to awaken us and to bring us closer to the treasure of life. To be fearless, to live your thread, your golden thread of life, that incredible thread into source, takes fearless courage, because to accept that you really are connected to the source of life means you have to learn how to respond to that connection, and that's all about responsibility, the response, and growing the ability to accepting and honoring your connection to source. The true fearless heart sees what's really going on around us. The fearless heart really sees what's going on in the world and chooses to find that center point, that middle point, that meeting point deep inside the heart where the opposites within inside of you meet. That's fearless courage. I'd like to invite you to pay attention to one thought in your mind coming up, and then another thought, erasing that thought, deleting that thought, challenging that thought, and creating an inner battle inside of yourself. We all do it, right? And sometimes a moment goes by, or two moments, and you go, oh, where did I go? Okay, I'm back now. But your mind went into its own outpicturing, its own creation of your reality. So I'd like to invite you to pay attention this week and take to heart truly, not counter-interacting with a thought in your mind that is the courageous you wanting to come out, and allow yourself to not second guess or self-doubt yourself, and be deep in your heart and find the courage to trust that core presence deep within your heart. And the way that you can practice it is to sit for a moment, or when you wash dishes, or you're cleaning up in the kitchen, or straightening out your bedroom, you steady your presence, your moment of being in your heart, asking the source of life, of the universe, that infinite intelligence, to help you to become stronger from within, more courageous to face what you need to face. And look for the results. Look for how Source comes to you and answers that request. And allow that practice to build your inner strength so that you are building your interdependence with the source of life. And that takes courage, because it's way easier to just hand the reins over to our mind, who thinks it knows it all, or lives in so much fear that it can't trust itself and then seeks outside input and leaves its own surrender process to the source through that doorway, through that gateway of true humility that comes from ending your battle within your mind. That's the courage to be who you are, to be on your pathway of awakening truth into the aliveness of who you really are, to allow yourself to live through your gateway of your heart. Thank you so very much for joining with me, being here with all of us today. And I send you so much love, because I know that all of us, all of you, are awakening to the deeper core truth within inside of yourself. And it takes courage to stay in that truth and to follow through with it, and to trust that by following your deepest truth from your deepest heart, that it will take you through your most difficult challenges. Holding you in deep love, please remember to check out my website and sign up, subscribe to my email list, because you will receive an incredible gift of a course that's a year long. It's free. It's delivered into your inbox every Saturday morning. It's a video course called Living from Your Wild Heart. And my life is dedicated to creating the trainings and programs and courses that are giving you direct access to the source within you. I'm taking almost 50 years of being the explorer scientist of the soul, and how the mind, the body, and soul interact in God here in a really practical way, and giving you all the tools. Holding you in love until next time. Be good to yourself. All my love. This is Ayana Lahi.